my dear students, I'm so sorry it became a little late. There were some internet issues, right? Okay, so let us start right away. I think we have enough people, right? Okay, and good morning to everyone. Right. Okay, let me share my screen. Right, so today is 26. Oh. Right, okay. Fine people. So last class, we actually started with this carbon and its compounds, not carbons, carbon and its compounds, right? Okay, I told you why is it that carbon is so special that it is having a separate chapter on itself, not only a separate chapter, people, right? It is going to have an entire branch of chemistry associated with carbon, right? What is the branch of chemistry called as? I told you, right? Anybody remembers? There is one branch of chemistry which talks only about carbon and its compounds. What is the branch of chemistry called as? Anybody remembers? I told you when you go to 11th, right, you will have three different parts of chemistry, right? Three different chemistries. What are the three different chemistries? And one of them is actually going to be about carbon. Anybody remembers? What are the three types of chemistry, and in that, what type carbon comes under?
Sir, organic chemistry.
Right. So there's an entire branch of chemistry called as organic chemistry, which talks about, or say which is study of this carbon and its compounds. So much like it, and it's very vast things you'll get to know when you go to 11th, right? So for now, we are going to concentrate here of why or what makes carbon so special, right? Now we understood that carbon is the essence of life, right? Every living thing on this planet, at least in this planet, right, is carbon based, right? One second, guys. Okay, right. We already told that at least on this planet, right, on Earth, at least every living thing, from man to a virus to a bacteria, fungi, any living thing which has a cell associated with it, right, is going to be carbon based, right? I already told you how it is carbon based, right? Oh, I'm so sorry, people. There are a lot of disturbances. I'm so sorry. Right. So yeah. So I told you that any living thing is going to be carbon based, right? I told you how it is carbon based, right? So if you take a cell, for example, any living cell, not your batteries, right? I'm talking about the cell, living cells, right? So cells will have cell walls, right? I told you this cell wall is made up of something called as glucose, right? And we know what is the formula for glucose, right? C6H12O6, right? And if you take say any protein which you have in your body, right? We know we have proteins in our body, right? Now these proteins will have this particular I'm sorry, right? It is going to have this particular framework. You don't have to worry about this. What is this and all, right? But you understand that there is a carbon. That's what you have to understand, right? Any protein for that matter, any protein, wherever you see, this particular unit will be present. This is called as an amide functional group. You don't have to worry about it. Don't worry about it. All you have to understand is there's a carbon there, right? And so that is about proteins. Now, if I take DNA or RNA, we know that they are going to be hereditary materials in our body. Again, you will see that they are nothing but carbon compounds. I don't want to draw a structure and make you, afraid, but still I can draw you the structure of how a DNA or RNA looks. It's just a chemical compound. Okay, right? All of them will be carbon based. Right? So you take a cell, you take a protein, you take a DNA or RNA, basically anything which makes up life, right, is going to be made out of carbon. Right? So that is why, and not only that, that is one of the reasons we study it, right? Second reason, the number of compounds formed by carbon, right? How many compounds can carbon form? No other element in the periodic table put together also, you see, that many compounds will not be formed by all the other elements put together. It is not possible, right? So it has a variety, so versatile the number of compounds are, right? Literally, carbon can combine with any other element in the periodic table. No other. I will change this place. Okay, I'm not going to make sure that this does not happen again. Okay, I am not going to sit in this place and teach you guys again. Okay, and I promise you, this is going to be the last time that I'm getting disturbed like this. Okay, I understand that sometimes it will be very irritating, right? It is very irritating for me. I understand that it might be irritating for you also. Please do not stop it. If you have anything to shout at me, you can go for it. Okay, right? Because it's really irritating. Anyways, so what I was telling is the number of compounds formed by carbon is enormous, and I told you carbon can combine with literally any element in the periodic table. I told you I have 118 elements in the periodic table, right? It can really combine with all the other 117 elements because including carbon it is 118, right? So again, no other element can do this in the periodic table, right? So these are the reasons why we are studying about carbon. What makes it so versatile, right? Now for that, I told you what makes carbon special. Like if I look into the carbon atom itself, right? If I take one atom of carbon, right, and I investigate, right, I will find this out. Like I will find out that, okay, these are the reasons. Okay, this is why carbon is so special, right? Now the first reason I gave for being carbon to be special is what? What was the first point, people? There was only one point I saw. What was the point we saw? Only one point we saw. There are 3-4 points which makes carbon so special. What was the first point? What is the reason behind the speciality?
So the compounds created by carbon are more than the compounds created by the other metals elements.
No. Those and all are say what to say. Those and all are the fascinating facts about carbon. If I look at it internally, right? If I look into the atom of carbon, there is one point. There are so many other points, but one point we saw last class, right?
Sir, it is a tetravalent element.
That is the point I'm looking for, right? The first point you look for is tetravalency. See, in your exams, if they ask you what makes carbon so special, you should not write, it makes up DNA, it is life, all the stuff. No, nothing. If they ask you what makes carbon special, I'm going to give you 3-4 points. Those points only should be written and then explained. Right. Now, what do you mean by tetravalency, people? What do you mean by carbon is being tetravalent? Yes, what do you mean by tetravalent? Yes, go on. Someone was trying to say something, I guess. Go on.
Valency of carbon is 4.
Valency of carbon is 4. Right? Yes, that's exactly what it means. Now, what is so special about valency 4? If I have a valency of 4, carbon, I know carbon is having an atomic number of 6. So it will have a configuration of 2, 4, right? So what is so special about this 4 being tetravalent?
It shares electrons.
It shares electrons. Okay, why does it share electron? Why does it not accept or donate electron?
More amount of energy is used for
Exactly. Very good, very good. Right. So I understand that for an ionic bond, again and again. Okay, right. So what I was telling is for an ionic bond to be formed, right? I know I need to have a cation, I need to have an anion, right? So cation acts removes electron, right? I mean it donates electron, right? This one accepts electron, right? All these things has to happen. So basically I have to have a positive charge, negative charge, some kind of interaction between them is what is my ionic bond, right? But here none of these things are going to happen, right? As someone told, why is it? Because the only possibility is I can remove 4 electrons or I can add 4 electrons. Okay, removing 4 electrons or adding 4 electrons is the only choice, because if I remove 2 electrons, mean 4 electrons, I will have a configuration of 2. If I add 4 electrons, the configuration will become 2, 8. So either way, duplet is satisfied or octet is satisfied. But I told you mostly it will be on the octet. But anyway, you don't have to worry about it, right? Okay, so carbon cannot accept electron. From carbon, I cannot remove electron, because I understand that if I have to remove electron, right? If any atom is there, if I have to remove this particular electron from the atom, obviously you understand that there is going to be some force of attraction between the nucleus and the electron. Is it not? Because I know nucleus is positively charged, right? Electrons are negatively charged. So they will have a very strong force of attraction in the electron, between the electron and the nucleus, right? So if you want to remove this electron, not only in carbon, any element for that matter, right, you have to supply some energy to break this attractive force. Only if you break the attractive force, the electron will be able to come out of the atom, right? So energy has to be spent in electron removal process. Or even if I have 1 electron, some energy, the number of electrons increases, obviously the amount of energy also increases for me to remove it. Okay, second case, if I have to add electron, right? If I have to add electron and say, assume that there are already electrons present on the shell, right? Now what do you understand? Now there is no attractive force and all, but there is going to be one force is going to be dominating. Which force will dominate here? Guys, if I am going to add electron, what problems will I face? I think this question was already answered last class by you only. What happens? Go on. Energy has to be spent is the answer. Why energy has to be spent? If I'm going to add electron, what makes you think that, okay, I might have to supply some energy also? Why do you think so?
Negative charge will be dominant.
Negative charge will be?
Dominant.
Dominant? What do you mean by negative charge being dominant?
More negative charge.
Okay, more negative charge is there. So what will happen?
To hold them in place, it requires more energy.
No, not exactly. See, you understand that already electrons are present and I'm adding electron. So what is going to happen? This incoming electron, will it face any problem?
Yes, sir.
What problem it will face?
So the electrons which are inside will dominate the electron which is coming in.
What do you mean by dominating here? Correct. That it has something to do with this electron.
repulsion.
That is the word I'm looking for. right? So you have this electron which is negatively charged. I already have electron which is inside the shell, right? So obviously when this electron tries to enter, there will be some repulsion, right? Again, I have to push the electron now, right? Because already the electrons are here is pushing these electrons away. So I have to push this electron towards the shell, right? So obviously for that, I need to spend some energy. Right, so it's not only about it's not only about carbon, people. Anything you have, any element you have, whether you have to add electron or remove electron, right? There will be some amount of energy which has to be supplied. Say if you have to add electron, you have to supply energy for overcoming the force of attraction between the nucleus and the electron, right? If you have to add electron, you have to supply energy because you have to overcome the repulsion between the incoming electron and the existing electrons. So either way, you have to supply some energy, right? And we are talking about the cases for only one electron till now, right? Energy supplied, one electron removed, energy supplied, one electron added. Now imagine a case where I have to do this for 4 electrons getting added and 4 electrons getting removed. Lot of energy, a lot of amount of energy is spent, right? So that is why carbon does not ever form ionic bonds. It will never ever form ionic bonds because there is no possibility that much amount of energy will be spent in removing electrons or adding electrons from carbon. Right? So all it does, the answer already came, the how carbon connects itself with other atoms is only through a covalent bond. Right? It's only through a covalent bond. We know what happens in a covalent bond. There is going to be mutual sharing of electrons. Mutual sharing of electrons. We already know this point. You must have studied in your 9th class. How a covalent bond. Did you study Lewis dot structures, people? Did you study Lewis dot structures? What? No, yes or no? What?
No, sir.
You didn't study. How is it possible?
Sir, I studied, sir. Some people, I think.
Oh, was that portion deleted last time?
No, sir. It was not even there in our textbook.
It was not even there in your textbook. Okay, but I thought 9th. I thought CBSE only. It was there. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, no problem. Okay, fine. So Lewis structures are nothing. Like it is just going to explain how the bonding happens. Okay, maybe we'll spend some time on that. Right. So now the first point alone, I'll try to explain again. So carbon being tetravalent, right? Now, how should we explain this point I'm trying to tell you? Okay. So carbon has an atomic number of 6. It has a valency of 4, right? Now, due to a lot of amount of energy requirement, it is not going to form ionic bonds. So it will always form only covalent bonds. Okay, it will always form only covalent bond. And for every carbon, because I have a valency of 4, every carbon atom will have 4 bonds associated with this. Okay, every carbon atom can have 4 bonds. Every carbon should have 4 bonds associated with it. Whatever be the molecule, any carbon, if I have 1000 carbon atoms, all the 1000 carbon atoms should have all the 4 bonds. Okay, only then it is stable. Right, now it's very understood why do I need 4 bonds here? Because say for example, now comes the Lewis dot structure. Why do I need 4 bonds for me to have stability? It's very easy to understand, right? Say, let us take the example of the simplest of compounds carbon can form is methane, CH4. Okay, right. Now I am going to explain you how. Obviously you understand that there are 4 CH covalent bonds with each carbon. 4 hydrogens are attached. I told you 4 bonds should be there. Now you can see there are 4 bonds. Right. Okay, we'll try to understand how this comes. Right. Now carbon, I am looking for Lewis dot structures, people. Okay. So Lewis dot structures are nothing but they just explain how a covalent bond is formed. Or how do you represent a covalent bond is what, or how do you understand how a covalent bond is formed? All these things are explained by Lewis dot structures. Okay, now we'll take this example CH4 and I'll try to explain you with the help of this Lewis dot structures. Okay, now remember people, in Lewis dot structures, we take only valence electrons. Okay, in Lewis dot structures, we take only the valence electrons. Means what? Only the electrons which are there in the last shell. We do not take any inside electrons. Okay, because inside electrons will not take part in bonding. Right? Whether it's an ionic bond or a covalent bond, it is only the valence electrons which takes part in the bonding. Bonding means attractive force, whatever it is. Right. Okay. Say for example, now if I take CH4, I know carbon has 2, 4 configurations. So only this number 4 I have to take. I don't care about this 2. What is inside, I don't take. Right. Now carbon is having 4 electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 valence electrons. I represent it by this pattern, round circles, small circles. Okay, now I'm going to have 4 hydrogen molecules, 4 hydrogen atoms, right? Those every hydrogen atom has an electronic configuration of 1. It has only 1 electron in its valence shell, right? Now, 4 hydrogens has 4 electrons. That is, each one of them is having 1 electron, right? No problem. Okay, now first we'll talk about hydrogen. Now, please understand, right? Now, whenever you talk about a covalent bond, right? You have to make sure all the atoms present in the particular compound, whether it's carbon atom or hydrogen atom or oxygen atom or whatever be the atom, for all of them, duplet or octet should be satisfied. Like that only you should do the Lewis dot structure. Again, I repeat this point, right? I have like whatever be the number of atoms. Say if I have n atoms, for all the n atoms in the molecule, duplet or octet should be satisfied, right? Like you have to keep that in mind, then only do the Lewis dot structure. Okay, right, fine. Now let us talk about hydrogens first. Hydrogen, obviously, octet is not satisfied, duplet will be satisfied, right? Now say hydrogen has 1 electron, it has already had 1 electron. Now it just requires 1 more electron to satisfy its octet. Sorry, duplet, right? It requires 1 more electron to satisfy its duplet, right? So now what happens? This hydrogen can take this particular electron, right? It's not like taking this electron which I'm marking here can be shared between this carbon and this hydrogen, so that this hydrogen I have what? I have duplet satisfied. Are you able to get the point, people? Again, I repeat. I have hydrogen to have only 1 electron. It requires 1 more electron to satisfy its duplet, right? So what is going to happen is this hydrogen can take up this electron. And I say take up this electron, carbon is sharing its electron. This electron belongs to hydrogen. This electron belongs to carbon, right? So this carbon will share its electron with hydrogen, so that hydrogen gets duplet satisfied. So how do I write this now? Or how do I mark it? This is how I'll mark it, right? Now this hydrogen requires 1 more electron, so it will take up this particular electron, right? Again, this can happen for all the 4 hydrogens, right? So this hydrogen will take this electron, this hydrogen will take this electron, and this hydrogen would have taken this electron. So for hydrogen, it's fine. For all the hydrogens, I was able to satisfy your duplet, right? Okay. Now I told you, it's not only about the side atoms, all the atoms should have duplet or octet satisfied, right? Okay, for hydrogen we have done it, for carbon also we have to do it, correct? Right. Now you see, carbon has 4 electrons, and these 4 electrons have been shared with hydrogen, right? Please understand this. Atoms are not like humans. Okay, they are good at sharing. That's a very good point. Okay. They're very, very good at sharing. It's not like you will just take and not give anything, right? You will just take and not give anything. That only living things do, in the sense that only human beings do, not animals. Animals are very okay, right? Okay, but in this case, you see, carbon has shared its electrons. Basically, carbon has shared 4 electrons to each of the hydrogen. One each to 4 hydrogens. So obviously, whatever carbon gave, hydrogen also will give. If carbon gave 1 electron to hydrogen, hydrogen will give 1 electron to carbon. Sharing, that is what is called as mutual sharing. It's not only one side sharing, it is mutual sharing, both sides sharing, right? So this hydrogen now, it has taken one electron, got it satisfied. Now it is going to be grateful to carbon. So what it is going to do, it is going to give this one electron, share its electron to carbon. Now, not only this hydrogen, all the hydrogens are good hydrogens here. That means all of them will give carbon what they took, right? So now if I have to make you understand, I need for carbon, I require 4 more electrons to satisfy its octet, right? So 4 of the hydrogens will give one electron to make sure that carbon also is octet satisfied. So how do I represent this now? Now I have to take each of the 1 electron from hydrogen. This is how I mark for carbon. Now this rounds are for hydrogen, and this is what is for my carbon. Okay, now understand that for one covalent bond, I require 2 electrons. I hope you understand how 2 electrons. 1 electron each from one atom. Isn't that now you understand that hydrogen is giving 1 electron, carbon is giving 1 electron. So there is one bond. Again, hydrogen is giving 1 electron, carbon is giving 1 electron, one bond. Now you see, for one covalent bond, 2 electrons. I have 2 electrons here, 1 coming from each, so 1 bond. Here also 1 coming from each, 1 bond. Right? Again, one coming from each, another bond. 1 coming from each, another bond. Now you see, if I draw it properly, without the electrons, I just write like this. Okay, I just write like this. Now, what does this line indicate? These lines which I draw indicate that there are 2 electrons shared, 2 electrons shared, 2 electrons shared, 2 electrons shared. Right? Everybody gets this point, how to draw the Lewis-Strauss structure and how do you make covalent bond? Everybody's okay. Can I get a yes, people?
Yes, sir.
Only one? What about others?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now answer this question. How many of you wanted to look into another example of how to draw the Lewis-Strauss structure? Nobody wants to look at it another example. Everybody's okay.
We want to look at.
Okay, right. So now we'll take one simple molecule now, right? Say, I want everybody to draw the Lewis-Strauss structure of H2O. It's not a carbon compound, but it's a covalent compound. Or let me take something simpler. Okay, let me take O2 molecule, okay, and N2 molecule, right? I want you to give me the Lewis-Strauss structures. Quick, first do it for O2, right? I'll give you 2-3 minutes. After finishing, click a picture and send me in WhatsApp. Okay, I will look into it. Quickly, I want everybody, I'll just see who all are present. Right, I have 11 participants and I have seen who all are present. I need 11 answers. Okay, but if you're not able to do it, just try at least, right? So remember, now you have to take only valence electrons, right? All of you have my number. Anybody doesn't have my number? Anybody needs my number? Okay, I hope everybody have my number. Everybody has my number, right? Okay, so for O2 molecule people, write this kind of structures, what we wrote here. Like this, can you write for O2? Here it's very simple. I have 2 oxygens, that's it, right? And how many electrons you have to put around oxygen, people? For around each oxygen, how many dots we have to put? How many dots? There for carbon, we put 4. For hydrogen, we put 1. So for oxygen, how many dots we have to keep around each of the oxygens?
6, sir.
Sorry?
6.
6. Yeah, absolutely. Because oxygen has a atomic number of 8. So it will have a configuration of 2, 6. Only this 6 you have to take. Do not forget about the inner electrons. Right? So around each oxygen, you must put 6 dots. Okay, and make sure that both of them are octet satisfied. Like that, you do the sharing. Come on, don't be lazy people. Everybody try. This is a very important thing, okay, to draw the Lewis-Dot structures. Okay, one answer I got, I guess. Okay, this is fine, Kana. I don't know who sent this. Who was this? 73959. Okay, Sanya, like you have to show me the circling, right? The structure is correct what you draw. Okay. But okay, I think only if you understand the circling, they will get this point. But still, when I ask you to draw the Lewis-Dot structure, you have to write this structure which you sent me, as well as see this is the structure which you sent me, like this kind of structures. But you have to show the circling also like this. Understand, Sanya?
Okay.
Right. Good attempt. Right. Okay. Others, quick. Another photo I got. Yes. Oxygen. Okay. Good. Who's this? Durlav. Yes, Durlav. It's absolutely right. You just. But one thing you missed. Okay. I'll tell you what you missed now. Okay. Everything is fine. Just one small thing is missing that I'll tell you. Right. Anyways, I think I will do it now. Right. Now, each of the oxygen atom has 6 valence electrons, right? So 6 is the number which you have to keep in mind. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now, same way here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now, this oxygen requires 2 electrons. This oxygen requires 2 electrons. Say, now this will take this 2 electrons from this oxygen. Obviously, whatever is given is taken also. Right. So if this gives 2 electrons, this also will give 2 electrons. So done. Right. Now look at this, guys. I told you for one covalent bond, 2 electrons should be shared basically. 2 electrons shared means 1 electron should come from 1 atom. Now see how many electrons are totally shared here. Can someone tell me? Totally how many electrons are shared?
Sir, 4.
4, right? 2 electrons coming from this oxygen, 2 electrons coming from this oxygen. Basically, 4 electrons are shared, right? So, how many covalent bonds do you think will get formed? If I have 4 electrons getting shared, how many covalent bonds will form? Absolutely, right? So, this electron and this electron, the one pair of electron share will form one bond, right? And this electron and this electron getting shared, that will form another bond. Right? So if I write it properly, I just write O double bond O, right? Because now how many electrons are shared? 4 electrons are shared. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that I have 2 bonds formed between oxygen and oxygen, right? Now, in the Lewis-Dot structures, people, it's not only that you have to represent only the bonds. Okay. Now see, there are these electrons which are here, which are not involving in bonding. Right, these two electrons and these two electrons are involving in bonding, but the other electrons which are there on each of the oxygen is not involving in bonding. Right, now those electrons in the valence shell but not involved in bonding, right? Now, these electrons are what are called as lone pairs. It's a very, very important term. Okay. Now, electrons are there in the valence shell, but they're not taking part in the bonding, right? Like these electrons. Right? These electrons are marked 1, if I mark 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, 4 pairs of electrons are there in the valence shell of oxygen, but still it is not taking part in the bonding. Only out of the 6 electrons, only 2 of the electrons are involved in bonding. Right? So rest 4 electrons are not involved in bonding. Okay, now these electrons which are there in the valence shell but not involving in bonding are what are called as lone pair. Say this particular one is lone pair 1. I'll write it as LP1. This particular thing we have, say we can write it as LP2. We know it's a pair. Pair means 2 electrons. You should not tell 1 electron. Okay, so 2 electrons put together makes a pair. So this electron has one first lone pair, second lone pair. Same way, this is my LP3, this is my LP4. LP means lone pair. Okay, so you have represented the bonds. That means you have represented the electrons which are taking part in the bonding. You also have to represent the electrons which are not taking part in the bonding, and that you'll do like this. I'll write so O double bond O. These are the 2 electrons here. 2 electrons here getting done. Other than that, I have electrons on oxygen which are not involved in bonding. And how many such pairs are there? 2 such pairs are there on each of the oxygen atom. Okay, see 1, 2, 1, 2. Right? So this is the perfect Lewis dot structure, and you have to make the circling also very properly. Only from the circle you will be able to get this. Right? So Durlab, this is the point which you missed. Understood? What point you missed? The lone pair part, right? Okay. I got another photo. Let me check from someone. Yeah. Who's this? Harita. Okay, Harita. Yeah, the structures are correct, right? But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, everything is fine. But again, you have to represent the final structure like this, Harita.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Right, good attempt, right? So now everybody must be able to do it for N2 now. Go for it. I need 2 structures. One is the circling structure. The second one is this structure along with the lone pairs. If you don't have any lone pairs, no dots, like how you have in CH4. I didn't have any dots, like I just have CH4. That's it. Because you see, in the carbon, I had 4 electrons, 1, 2, 3, 4 electrons, and all of them are involved in bonding. There is no one electron which is not involved in bonding. That's why carbon doesn't have any lone pair, or hydrogen doesn't have any lone pair. But in O2, you had, check whether in N2 you have or not, and tell me, draw the Lewis structure for the N2 and send me in picture, quick. What is an amide? Good luck. I'll tell you what is an amide. Wait, let me finish this. Okay. Yeah. Durlove, you got it right. But Kana, you have to put the lone pair as a pair, right? In N2, when you draw the structure, look at how you have represented the electron. I understand that there is one lone pair. Pair means 2 electrons. You should always represent electrons as pairs. You have represented 1 electron top, 1 electron down, 1 electron top, 1 electron down. This character alone. Rest of it are very fine. Very good.
Okay, sir.
Right? Okay. Any others has anything? it shouldn't be taking this much time. Now that we have seen two examples, it should be fine, I guess. Should it be like this? Yes, absolutely correct. It should be like that, how you send it. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
That's it. Nobody wants to send me. Nobody wants to check whether they are right or wrong. I'll give you 1 more minute for anybody to send me. Okay, 1 more I got. Okay. Yes, I think it's Samia, right? Or no, this is Harita. Yes, Harita. Both the subjects are absolutely fine. Correct. Anybody else has any photos? Okay, so if you have done, how many the people who have already finished it, draw the structure for H2O. Can you show? Sure, I will do it. Don't worry. Okay, so fine. So let me do for N2 molecule. It's very simple, people. Okay, now nitrogen first has atomic number of 7, so it will have a configuration of 2,5, right? Okay, so now nitrogen has, okay, this I have 2 nitrogens. Each of them will have 5 electrons on their valence shell. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now this nitrogen and both of these nitrogens basically require 3 more electrons to satisfy its octet, because already I have 5 and I require 3 more. Same way, I already have 5, I require 3 more for it to satisfy its octet. Very simple now. I already have 5. This nitrogen will take up these 3 electrons from nitrogen. Done. So now whatever this nitrogen gave, it will take it back, in the sense that it has given 3 electrons. So this nitrogen also should give 3 electrons. So now for this nitrogen to get octet satisfied. So this is how we do circling. Yes, understood? Whomever asked to do how to do circling, this is how we do circling, Kana. Understood? I don't know who asked it. Yeah, okay, so I think it was Sanya. Anyways, this is how you do circling. Now, I told you, 1 pair of electrons shared, that is 2 electrons shared, 1 covalent bond. Now you see how many electrons are shared? 3 plus 3, 6 electrons are shared. That means 3 bonds should be there. That means this is 1 bond, this is second bond, this is your third bond. Okay, so now we will represent nitrogen like this with a triple bond, right? And that's not it. Now you see there are still electrons which are there in the valence shell which are not involving into the bonding, and those are what are called as my lone pairs. So I will represent 1 lone pair each on 1 nitrogen. This is the final structure. And obviously without this you should not write this. From this only you should derive this. Okay, now one last example for the day. We will take H2O. Go for it, people, and send me in WhatsApp. I'll give you 2 minutes time. Draw the Lewis dot structure and get me the final structure. How many lone pairs, if you have any, all these things you represent, send me quick. Go for it. So for oxygen, you should have duplet satisfaction. And for hydrogen, you should have, sorry. For oxygen, you should have octet. For hydrogen, you should have duplet. Right? Guys, in your school, any new chapters started in chemistry? There are only 2 more chapters left: periodic table and
Revising metals and non-metals.
revising metals and non-metals. Oh, so we are only ahead. So we can learn a lot of extra things then, like this. Lewis structures, like anyway, you must have studied in your 9th class, but you didn't study. So we can learn it now, not a big deal. We have a lot of time. Right? So we learn all this extra stuff and some good chemistry that you'll appreciate. Okay, one picture I got. Okay, you have done the circling. So I think it is Sanyo again. You have done the circling for hydrogen. Where is circling for oxygen? Sanya. Hydrogen is okay. Circling is done. What about oxygen? Whatever oxygen will give, that I mean that it will take it back also from hydrogen, right? Okay. Yeah, this is fine, good enough. Absolutely fine. Yes, any other people want to send me? See, these are all the things which I'm telling you to practice. Okay. Say same set of people sending me this and they're getting themselves corrected. Obviously, they will improve. But people who are not even trying, I know definitely some people are not even taking their notebooks. You didn't even have a pen in your hand, right? Now, those people, I'm so sorry, right? You are really missing out on an amazing opportunity to improve yourself, but that you're not taking it. Okay, so it's like giving you some salary, but you said no, I'm fine. I'm fine being poor. It's like that, right? Okay, now there is some complicated 1, 2, 3. Okay, fine. This is correct, Harita. Harita only, right? This is, yeah. Even though it's a little complicated which you draw, but what you draw was correct. What about this? Okay. This thing was that Sanya. It's fine. What you drew is now is fine. Right? Absolutely fine. Next. Yeah. Amide, I'll explain this thing. Okay. I'm sorry, I forgot about it. Right. Okay. Now, if you look at H2O, obviously oxygen is in between. Now you have to look into two elements. So oxygen has 2,6, hydrogen has only 1. Right? Now oxygen having 6 electrons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hydrogens have 1 electron on their valence shells. Right? Now let us do it for hydrogen first. Hydrogen requires 1 more electron to satisfy its duplet. Right? So now it will take this particular electron which is there, and this electron which is there, this hydrogen will take, done. So oxygen has given 2 electrons, so it will take 2 electrons, means it will take 1 electron from hydrogen, 1 electron from hydrogen, because it requires 2 more electrons to satisfy its octet. We are not randomly doing it. Okay, right? I have already 6 electrons on oxygen. It requires 2 more electrons to satisfy my octet for oxygen. So now that would be like this. Already 6 electrons. Now these 2 electrons are taken. So now how many covalent bonds? 1 pair of electrons shared, 1 covalent bond. So now there is an electron pair shared here, 1 electron pair shared here. So there'll be 2 bonds. Right? And obviously you see now there is an electron. There are 4 electrons on oxygen which are not taken in the valence shell of oxygen, which is not taking part in bonding. Okay, right. So that I will represent like this, 2 lone pairs. Okay, fine. What is the time? We have 9:20. I think we'll stop with this for today. Okay, so we will learn why am I specifying so much about this Lewis structure is that it will be very helpful for this particular chapter, carbon and compounds. Okay, so next class we'll see maybe 2-3 more examples and then we'll continue with this carbon and its compounds. Yeah, what is an amide? Okay, Durlabh, amide is a functional group. Okay, so there are different functional groups we have. Say for example, if I have only carbon and hydrogen in the molecule, these are what are called as hydrocarbons. Okay, these are what are called as hydrocarbons. If we have only carbon and hydrogen, like say methane, ethene, all these stuff, you will find only carbon and hydrogen, right? But other than this, you have something called as functional groups. Okay, so functional group means other than hydrogens, obviously carbon is there because it's a carbon compound. Other than hydrogens, I might have some other element also. Say, one example can be alcohol, right? Alcohol, the functional group is OH, right? The famous alcohol everybody drinks, right, is this CH3, CH2, OH. Now see, whenever you have this OH present, this is what is my ethanol, I call it. This is the starting material for all your types of alcohol. Okay, whiskey, brandy, rum, whatever, vodka, you name it. Right? And there is nothing wrong in talking about it. Okay, from a chemist point of view, for me, those are chemicals. Right? From a public point of view or a government point of view, yeah, it might have its own adverse effects. But from a chemist point of view, from a science student point of view, from your point of view, you just have to look into the form of a chemistry compound. That is all you have to understand. This is the formula of alcohol. That's it. Okay, right. So now it is going to be ethanol. Now, like that, I have so many different types of functional groups. One of them is amide. Right. So amide, like I told you, for alcohol, OH should be there. For amide, the C double bond ONH should be there. Right. If I have to make you understand, say this can be an amide, CH3CONH2. Okay. Basically, I should have had one more bond here, and that bond is coming from hydrogen. Now, an amide, a very good example is urea. Okay. Now, urea, if you look at the formula, it is going to be CONH2, CONH2. This is the formula for urea. Urea we use for fertilizing. The uric acid which you get when you go for urine, when you pass urine, right? So all of them are nothing but chemistry carbon compounds. This is how the structure of urea will look. Okay, so this is what is an amide, right? These amide linkages are the ones which are there in proteins. Okay, when you go to 12th class, right, there is a chapter called as biomolecules under organic chemistry, obviously, because every biomolecule is going to be a carbon compound, right? There's something called as biomolecules. Now you'll study all of these in depth: proteins, nucleic acids, cells, everything, sugars, everything we'll study in detail for now, right? For now, your amide bond question, I hope it is answered. Is it fine, Durlabh?
Yes, sir. Sir, so amide is a functional group, sir.
Yes, amide is a functional group. Yes. Correct.
Okay, sir.
Right. Okay. Any other questions anybody has? Sir, should I show you how to put the circle again? I'm a bit confused. Sanya, now it is fine, the circling part. Any problem is there in circling, Kanna?
Now fine, sir.
Now fine, right? Good, good. If you have any doubts, please WhatsApp me. I'll explain you.
Thank you.
Okay, right, good. Fine, guys. I think I'll stop sharing here. Right. I hope that everything is okay. Right. So we'll meet again next Sunday. Right. Thank you so much. I'm ending the class.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody.